Thank you so much for spending the day with us. Thank you, Greg, that was awesome. And I love it when our carriers come and give us access to them and share. I don't think it happens often enough, so I really appreciate when that happens. So today, I started out this morning, saying that me and the rest of our media and education working group feel that it's very important for us that we've delivered value to you when you leave at the end of the day. And we had a few points that said to us that we had delivered value. And the first one was that you learned at least one new thing. Did you learn at least one new thing today? Yes? Yes, Lynn? Good, okay. Do you have a better understanding of what data is and the importance of it and the various places you can get it, what you can do with it, what it can tell you? Yes? A little too much? Well, you're smiling at. I like it when you smile. Yeah.
I still don't have much idea of how to get it.
Yeah. Well, that is something that you can attack. Right. Did you make a new connection? There's some new faces here today. Did you make a connection with somebody who knows something that you didn't know or knows a little bit more about something that you want to know a little bit more about? Yeah? Yes? Teresa? Yes? Excellent. And the big one for me, are you going to be 2%ers? Are you going to leave inspired to take one new idea, one little morsel, and do something with it? I see yeses happening around. Yes? Yes. Okay, good. Okay. So I mentioned this morning that this is a little different. It is our 10th anniversary on September 16th. So I'm doing a little trek down memory lane. I'm going to have to put on the reading glasses. When ORBiT came into being way back in 2008, we kind of thought it would be around for a year or two, and then the need for ORBiT would be gone away. Didn't we think that, Ed? You were with Economical or Aviva at that time? Economical at that time. Well, we're still here. And you know, when I was thinking about why we're still here, I have a few thoughts. First is that we're a grassroots organization. This is, I was a broker way back when, and this was a grassroots, broker-driven organization. I might get verklempt. I'm just going to warn you, this is a passion. So sorry, guys. Isn't this embarrassing, eh? I do it every year. Anyway, I believe we've delivered something of value to our industry. We had a need that was not being addressed. We had issues that were not uncovered, not talked about. So we approached them. And the thing for me that we do best is what we did today. We bring all players in the broker distribution channel together. We don't have silos. We don't believe in silos. We believe in everybody sitting at the same table, talking things through, learning what the industry needs and what is the best solution for the industry. Not just for my interest, not just for Ed's interest or Kevin's or Dave's, but for our interest as an industry. So I think that's what we do really well. And the last thing is, because we're grassroots, broker-driven, we, brokers, we're the experts on what we need at the front line for our customers. Our vendor members are experts at the technology, and our carrier members are experts at what their systems can do and the data that they can share with us. So it's all of us as experts coming together. So that's why I think we've been around for 10 years. So we're celebrating today by walking 10 years, but what on earth are we celebrating? For me, I've already said it. We bring everybody to the same table. I think that's the biggest contribution ORBiT has made to the broker ecosystem. We have raised the acceptance and awareness of best practice workflows in this industry. I go into customers and I get introduced as efficient broker, but that's my other hat, but as ORBiT, they're the best practice workflow organization. Holy cow, that's exactly what we are. So I think the awareness is there, and I hear more and more brokers talking about best practice workflows. What's the best practice workflow for that? It's really important. It's really important. When I came from the carrier side in 1991 to the broker side, my experience was that at the front line, the users told us what they needed, and I was an ops analyst, and then I took that, I wrote specs, and then we had people who actually wrote the programming, tested it, and then delivered it back. But when I came to the broker side, it wasn't like that. We had carriers, thank God, implementing technology, but they were delivering the technology without conversation with the broker, and then the broker had to figure out how to use it in their environment. So we had multiple ways of doing the same thing based on who the carrier was. And I think that is shifting. And that was ORBiT's goal, was a paradigm shift. So let's start at the front line, and then we'll build the technology to the best practice workflow in the back line. Real time. My God, we've talked about this since 2008. But what I think we are celebrating in real time today is that we have invested a ton of time in it. People know real time, what we mean by real time. We're celebrating real-time inquiry. Some offices use it, some don't. We're still celebrating it. We are celebrating real-time payments. That was Devona Allen's working group since Adam was a boy. We have real-time payments. We are celebrating some success in real-time quote and bind. Some carriers, and I heartily congratulate the carriers that are delivering that for brokers. Real-time quote and bind. We celebrate the best practice workflows that have been developed, not yet implemented. So and I'm going to share working groups with you in a moment. For every single one of those working groups, we have a best practice workflow. And it has been vetted by systems people at carriers and business people at carriers, and it actually has had a business case built for it. So they're out there waiting to be used. And we celebrate what's happening with the APIs. So Jeff Roy, who was one of the originators of ORBiT, said to us in a call back in September, you guys can tick off real-time interchange of data. We've got it covered. It's done. We don't have it yet, but we're told it's done. So, you know, yay, yay. We did this because we want equivalency between us and the directs in the exchange of data. And the last thing is process efficiencies. This is actually speaking to download. And they almost, I don't know, it's probably 99% of the brokers who've turned on download. eDocs, the efficiencies brought about by eDocs, and real time, those who use real time. Those of you who've been to ORBiT events before know this is our little mantra, and it's by Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And that's our ORBiT mantra. So why we're celebrating 10 years. Who here was in Cambridge at the Future Inn on September 16th, 2008? Besides me, who was here? Look at the hands. Yes, yes, don't be shy, folks. So I actually thought that what I would do is I would read to you the introduction. I had the misfortune of actually having to do what I'm doing today back then, but apparently I love doing it. So I thought I would read to you the introduction that we did that day, if you will just bear with me, please. And it was morning, so we're going to pretend it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I will get verklempt. I'm going to tell you right now, when I practice, I got verklempt, so just ignore me. Just pretend you don't see what I'm doing. Good morning, my name's Wendy Watson, and I'm a licensed insurance broker. Obviously, that was very important to me. On behalf of the organizing committee, welcome to what we hope is an opportunity to learn and fully participate. Whether you are from a brokerage, insurance company, broker management system, or a vendor that works between the two, we're all here for the same reasons. To help the broker channel remain profitable in an environment where we are losing market share. Has much changed today? Yeah. To identify the bottlenecks in typical insurance transaction workflows and decide which order they need to be fixed. We're going to fix them. And to prepare the broker channel to compete head-to-head with the new direct writing entrants coming into the Ontario insurance marketplace. I'm thinking about Canadian Tire and Toyota here. Thank you for coming today. Obviously, we've hit a nerve. We were a bit nervous booking a room that would hold 240 people, and here we are, overbooked with 285 registrants. We thought we would get 75. Thanks to those of you who were skeptical, but still interested enough to ask, what was this meeting really about? Who was selling what? Is it a TAM meeting, or what was the hidden agenda? We're happy you asked so we could tell you this is not a sales opportunity for anyone, and it is not a TAM meeting. The organizers are members of an interface ad hoc committee for TAM. However, that is simply the way folks with common beliefs came together. The other concern I heard is that this is too big an issue. The day will get out of control. We hope the structure we've come up with will ensure things don't become unwieldy, and they actually didn't. I keep saying our committee, so I should introduce those responsible for today. Many hands were involved, so I'll introduce those who were most active. Laura Hill from Marsh, Canada, who liaised with CSIO and several insurance companies. Devona Allen, who is now with BrokerLink, the lady with the contacts. Jeff Roy, the idea man, and who arranged Brenda French for us. She talked to us about best practice workflows that day. Lisa Wetzler, who was at Cowan, who booked the venue for us, and Tara Swigger, who was the administrative person who handled many, many of the logistics. Brian Bartosh, who you guys, if you've been to real-time events in the past, he's from Tapa, Michigan Insurance Brokers. He's a really good efficiency guy. Veronica Walpole, who was with Willis back then, who got the CE credits, and Leslie Lacroix from Hub. So lots of big players. And not on our committee, but a gentleman who ensured each IBAO member got an invitation is Paul Taylor. Our committee had these goals when planning for today. We want to, number one, educate the brokers on real time. We want to share our common bottlenecks, and then we want to agree on the priorities for attacking these bottlenecks. Kind of violent people back then, weren't we, in 2008? And here we're a little cocky. Please don't take this the wrong way. Our business partners, meaning carriers and vendors, have no voice this morning. This morning, you folks are here to listen and learn. The only voices we want to hear are brokers. Your time to speak comes later. The afternoon will be our time to allow insurance companies and vendors to discuss what they heard from us, their customers. Our goal is to get our company partners to recognize that duplicate entry has to go away. We simply cannot afford it. This morning we want to give them what we as brokers need to compete and stay viable. And having said that, we don't have any real unreal expectations about today. We hope this is truly just meeting number one. It took our committee a full year of hearing the same message over and over to grasp and to really, really get what real time is. And now that we've got it, we're very excited about what it can do for each of our brokerages, whether you're large, medium, or small. Over the past year, we've had the golden opportunity to learn from a broker in Michigan, Brian Bartosh, just what is possible, just how far ahead the U.S. is in figuring out what they need and letting insurance companies know what they need. And I went on about my thingy, but I don't think I need to go through that. But we talked about how we got so darn smart. Like we as brokers, aren't we cocky, eh? How did we get so darn smart? We had been to the U.S. and saw what was happening down there. And we said, after we finally got real time, our excitement took us to hosting a meeting in Detroit to which we invited 8 Ontario insurance companies led by Brian Bartosh. He invited 2 companies from the U.S., and they showed us what was happening down there, and it made us drool. We want our companies to take advantage of it. So I'm not going to read the rest of it, but that's how we got here today. Do you guys remember that? Yeah? Yeah? You remember the passion? Yes, yes. So let's go through anybody want to make any comments about anything? Speak up. This is your anniversary too. We're all here together. We're celebrating 10 years. But only in the morning you were there to listen. You got to talk in the afternoon. I know. Yes, I know. So this was September 2008. We had working groups that did a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, and we had our first, what we called a face-to-face back then, and it was, oh my God, we were so, overly optimistic. We held our first real-time day in 4 locations. We went to Ottawa, North Bay, and then we went to Kitchener and Markham. And we were quite simplistic. We were very, very focused. Our agenda was really every vendor demoed what real-time transactions they had. Dave's nodding. You remember these days, eh? Yeah. So we had our personal lines real-time transactions, we had our commercial lines real-time transactions, and then we had a panel discussion about what the future should look like. So these were the working groups that were in place back then. Our goal was that every working group had a broker that represented every BMS, and we wanted representation from every BMS if we could, and then we had carrier representation as well. So we had a lot of working groups. We conducted our first survey in October of 2010, and we took information from those working groups and surveyed, and I think we had 287 or 289 responses back for prioritizing where we focused our energies. And this is the order of priority that our members gave us in 2010. Oh, bless you. So this is interesting. EDT was a working group led by Beth Fisher, Beth Sigurdsson. And this is actually what was read that day, at that real-time day. It's kind of, when you think about it, it's kind of silly now, but this is exciting. What exists today is that some carriers make copies of client insurance documents available on or through their portal, or you can do a bulk download and then individually attach them to each customer in your BMS. What this working group is working on having is getting the documents to come down and automatically attach to your customer in your BMS. The size of the document is currently huge, so CSIO is hosting a meeting in May to work out the format of these documents. Let me tell you why this is so important. How many brokers currently scan their documents in their office? A lot of people put their hands up. How many people T-file the paper? Lots of hands went up. How many people actually file them in the customer paper copy? A whole bunch of hands went up. Imagine the time you could save in your office and reallocate elsewhere if it came down electronically and you didn't have the paper. We were so naive. Make a payment. It was actually working group number 5 back here in 2010. Or priority number 5, in 2010. And Lorna Sudu, who was at AXA back then, was very active on this working group. And she told us that at AXA, they got 8,000 payments a week that they had to process. They were so supportive of make a payment, real-time payments, because they saw that that would go away. The broker would get the money, deposit in their bank account, and a lovely transaction would move it to the carrier. Nobody would touch it. Well, we've actually had success in real-time make a payment, but it looks a little differently than we anticipated back then. ClearPay, and John Noddick, interestingly, was at BMO back when we had the make a payment working group, and he left BMO, he's with ClearPay, and ta-da, they release make a payment. Some things that changed since we had that working group is back then, as I think Neil talked about this morning, is most brokers have gone to direct bill. So there aren't a ton of client payments in the office, but there still are some. So this is really important. And I need to congratulate the carriers, because one of our core values back in the old days was everything starts and ends in the heart of a broker, the broker management system. And there are vendors that integrate ClearPay with them. So we do follow that heart of the broker, the BMS integration. So this is a big positive, and that's little Lisa Kerr. So we moved to our second annual education day, and our theme was real time makes real sense, and you'll notice the dollar signs in the cents. So we had 3 locations this time: Toronto, London, and Belleville. Yay, you didn't have to drive so far. Yeah, you're gonna see we get down to 1 location though, yeah. So we were hearing from our carriers even way back then. So we said to our carriers in the early days, if you build it, they will come. You build real time, our brokers will implement. Well, we were hearing in, which year am I in here? 2011, that brokers were not implementing. Carriers were releasing real-time transactions, brokers were not using them. So we thought, okay, you know what, education day, perfect time. We brought in change management experts, and we launched the 21-day challenge. Like, who hasn't heard that it takes 21 days to make a new habit, right? So yeah, so we launched the challenge, and we shared business cases for real time. We actually did time transactions and shared the savings in times if people used real time. Our board had a meeting in October of 2011, and we actually tweaked our mission statement and that was October 6, 2011, and it stayed actually until this past November. And our mission was to facilitate collaboration and education between all stakeholders in the broker distribution channel for the advancement of real-time, once-and-done transactions to drive efficiencies by way of best practice workflows following industry standards. One hell of a mouthful, but we tried to cover everything off. Our core values, we were always about workflows. We felt and still feel that if workflows are built first, technology gets built to them instead of the other way around. And we'd been using this phrase, best practice workflow, so we thought we should define it. So for us, when our working groups were developing their best practice workflows, it meant that it was the most efficient, most effective way of accomplishing a single task based on a repeatable procedure that has been proven over time to work for the large number of people. So it's for the 80%, not the 20%. So happy to share that with you, you'd like it. And our goals, we had 5 goals: education, develop and implement real-time workflows, facilitate open communication, be a unified voice for brokers, and then promote and enhance and participate in CSIO standards. In June 2011, we did our second survey, and we called it the document survey, very techie name. And we wanted to find out how our brokers were getting their client and broker copies of documents, what they were doing with them, like how they moved them around, and what they were doing with them when they were done with them. So this helped actually the working group develop the very detailed best practice workflow, and this is the high level. And this actually has not even been fully implemented yet, but it is, I think it's one of the best things that has happened to us. So you see here, documents are transferred electronically. There's no more manual intervention. They're available in real time. We get every document. Every single document that a carrier sends, we believe that it should come through eDocs. And I'm going to follow Greg. Is Greg still here? No? He was a bit bold, and I'm going to be a bit bold. We have heard other people taking credit for eDocs, but you know what? These are the people who deserve credit for eDocs. This working group had huge representation from carriers, from vendors, and from brokers, and Beth Sigurdsson led that group. And the current standard for eDocs came out as a result of that group. And when I talked to Beth about this, she said, you have to give credit to Francine Davis, who was at that time with CSIO, because she drove it. This is why eDocs exists, this working group. You know what? We have to clap for them. So eDocs we have today, we have personal lines, we have commercial lines with some companies for IRCA, we have commercial lines small package eDocs from some companies, payment notices, and I know they're not here, but I have to give Intact credit for the various options they have for, I feel really echoey, Nick, that they have for payment notices, and client copies for self-service. Those are what we get today. And download, you know, another big boon for our industry. Brokers are using download for work distribution. It's awesome for minimizing touches. They're using download for automated invoicing. And actually some vendors have a comparison tool, this year's renewal to last year's renewal, which again simplifies the administrative process in a broker's office. So, and you know what, that working group worked on clean download as well as EDT, which is eDocs. So, you know, they did such really, really, really good work. Very proud of them. So 2012, third real-time day. You keep seeing the dollar signs, right? We thought if we can talk to principals and tie it to their pocketbook, then direction will come from the top for things to be implemented. So fast forward to financial success. And we were still in 3 locations, Toronto, London, and Kingston. No yay this time? No? So, yeah, okay. So again, lots of demoing of real-time workflows. Brian Bartosh came and showed actually how he was using the workflows in his office to simplify things and free up people for more client contact, more sales. Then we go to 2013, our 4th, and it's Brokers in Motion. We got less industrious, went to 2 locations. We were Toronto and London. And this is the year that we actually, the very first year, we brought the customer into our education day. And we did it by way of Bill Morris from Navicon, Customer Service Survey Experts. He came, and in his keynote, he shared results from customer service surveys, told us that we were not communicating with our customers enough. We were not sharing with them what was relevant. We touched them at wrong times, and that the loyalty factor was not as high as it could be, that we actually needed to take action. So you know what? Thanks for telling us. We also, first time we introduced electronic or digital e-solutions. So we had talked about e-communications to customers. We actually started talking about self-service a little bit more, and mobile. Then, does this picture look a little different than this one? This is when Quentin joined us. We call him Q. He's our marketing creative dude, and he made us look very different, and we're eternally grateful. So this was 2014, our 5th one, and it's Embrace the Future. So we went down to 2 here, Ottawa and Toronto. And here we took Bill Morris's message from the prior year to heart, and we had another different speaker on the client experience. And we continued our movement into digital with sessions on telematics. We had a panel on telematics, digital customer experience, and we had a panel on e-signatures. And we still had vendor show and tell back then as well. 2015, Make It Real. Why do you think we titled it that? We still weren't implementing. We still weren't implementing. So, yeah, it was a message we were hearing. So what we did is we brought Brian Bartosh back again. We thought, okay, so it'll get through this time. We brought in a keynote on change management, and then we had an actual workshop on how to drive change management in your organization. We continued the discussion on digital with a digital landscape and how brokers can own the digital commercial space and e-signatures. And we had an awesome Let's Ask a Carrier panel. Do you guys remember that one? It was downstairs at the Delta Inn with those stupid posts where you had to move around to see. Yeah. Yeah, that was like that compared with today, I think, with our carrier panel. That was really good. 2016, our 7th, and it's Ready, Set, Get It Done. So this was our first foray into website and truly into customer self-service. And we had Tara O'Doherty as our keynote. And she was a hit. Do you guys remember? She was really good. We stayed future-focused. We had Crystal Ball in the future of the broker distribution channel. I think Patrick moderated that panel. We had roundtables with subject matter experts. It fell flat. We talked usability is king, and that was usability of your website. And that was a panel as well. And then we shifted our focus on real time to talking about clean data. We wanted brokers to think about using their data, and if they were going to use it, it had to actually be clean, so you knew what you were getting. And then this is last year, Real Time Day 2015, or 2017, and it was Write the Next Chapter. So we wanted our brokerages to think future-focused. Not what you're doing today. We want you to think as if you're writing a book and you've done your research and you're actually writing the next chapter. What does your future look like? So our agenda was like, oh my God, we packed so much stuff in, but we had another keynote by Tara, and it was actually building a customer self-service website. We had a panel on building customer self-service. We had a hands-on session on building digital marketing plan. We had a digital startup story. And then we, for the first time, had hands-on sessions for Real Time Today and beyond. We asked people to bring their technology with them and actually work along with the instructors. And the same with auditing. We wanted brokers to bring their technology and figure out how to run the reports and perhaps save them. So at the end of that, we always ask how we do. So did Real Time Day 2017 meet your expectations? All but one person said yes. And the person who said no said, you exceeded them. So I had to share that. Sorry about that. So we had a board meeting in late 2016 because, to be frank, I and my board were really questioning if and how we were delivering value to you, our members. Because we take your renewal money, like we take your membership money, but like what are you getting for it? Besides our education days and our annual members meeting, what value are you getting? So we brought a group of brokers that we highly respect across Canada actually together. And they're brokers who are actually forward thinking and implementing, and asked them to come and talk to us. And we asked them to think about three things, and I think I've got it on the next one. What is it that you think your customers want or need? What are their desires? And then, what are your impediments to delivering to your customers what they need and what they want? And you're seeing a word, a four-letter word in here an awful lot, I think, if you look at it. It's the data word, right? Data, data, data. And then communicating once we have the data and understanding what that data actually means. And then we said, how do you think ORBiT can help you with that? And the thought that provoked that question, it actually came from feedback from ORBiT Day 2017. And I don't know who gave this because they're anonymous, but it said, I think at this point we all know what needs to happen. I think we know where the industry is going. We need the how. What real and affordable tools should we as brokers invest in? Help us with an execution strategy or hands-on implementation. That would be a huge benefit. So that provoked this question, and then we took the learning from this broker focus group, and then we went to our board, and from that, we revised our mission statement to the one I shared with you this morning. Our mission is to meet evolving customer expectations by facilitating learning, collaboration, and education for continuous improvement in our broker ecosystem. We created a vision, and we've never had a vision before. We went from mission statement to core values to goals. So we created a vision, which I shared with you this morning as well. And I think it's really important. We want to satisfy evolving customer expectations. We want our members, our brokers, to compete effectively with other distribution channels. And we want all of our stakeholders, to operate efficiently, cost-effectively, and profitably. Our core values, I'm just going to say the three words: knowledge, collaboration, and sharing. If we have and do those three things, we work together. And we can satisfy these goals of advancing brokers' abilities in knowing their customers and beyond, and responding to that, facilitating and providing education, communication, and inform on what is possible. So those pieces of information took us to KYC. So at our annual members meeting in November, we worked with our membership and we came up with, what does it mean to know your customer? What data do we have? What data do we need? What do we need to understand about their behaviors, not just the pieces of data? What's the best way to get it? Where do we store it? And then how do we interpret the data? So that's know our customer. Then it's reach our customer. Once we know them, how do we reach them? What are the things that they want us to communicate about? How do we do it? How frequently do we do it? What is the best timing involved? Then interact with your customer. So we know them, we reach them, but we don't want just one way, right? And so many people said that today. We need an interaction. We don't need a monologue, we need a dialogue. And what are the various ways we can have a dialogue with our customers? Verbally, electronically, digitally, however we do it. And then, once we've had this interaction, how do we learn from and about our customers? So when we get information, what does it mean? If we're going to survey them, how do we survey them? What metrics are important? How do we know that we're doing the right things? What analytics are important and what do they tell us? Oh, sorry. So, what do you think? Make sense? You guys want to know any of that stuff? Yeah? Yeah? Every year we share with you, this is Q's Total Zone, all the media stuff that he does, the tweets and LinkedIn and website and such. So we share with you the results of CUE's efforts throughout the year. So, how was your day? I just went blah, right? So can we just give us a hand for surviving 10 years? Yeah? We're moments from drinks, guys. We're just moments from drinks. Does anybody want to share anything, any thoughts on their 10 years? I know some faces have been here for the entire 10 years, little Scott Kirby sitting in the back there. Yeah, I saw you looking up. Anybody want to share any thoughts, have comments? Yes? Will Marshall, do you need a microphone?
When I first came to ORBiT, and that's 08, 09, whatever that was,
08.
and I had been looking for somewhere to help with technology, because our office was way back in the one-right system, and we were moving our way up. We had a computer, but, you know, when we joined ORBiT, it's just amazing what it brought to our office. We became paperless. Thanks to Janice Collin, we did a lot of things, better technology, more efficiency. Just amazing what ORBiT did. Without ORBiT, our office wouldn't be where it is today. We're so much more efficient, and we still got a long way to go. But, you know, we're paperless, we did a lot of different things, and I thank Wendy for your passion.
You're welcome. He's a 2%er. Any other 1%ers or 2%ers want to comment? Yeah? No? It's a good group of people. Like, I like that everybody shares. I like that people come and they tell what works, they tell what didn't work, they make connections. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the interactions. So I think thank you is in order. Our two keynote, Neil is still here. Wave your hand there, Neil. Lots of good information. Rob, who left already. Our moderators and panelists, these guys, they're all volunteer. They put their own sessions together. They have dry runs with the people who are sitting on their panels. They put their presentations together, and they invest that time for you guys. So let's thank them. Our exhibitors, I hope you spent time visiting, and the exhibitors will be out there. If you have a glass of wine, just walk around and talk to them. And you come, you invest money to come, you invest your time. And some people travel quite a distance to come, so thank you for investing in you and in ORBiT today. Thank yourselves. So the Media Working Group, who are the hands and the minds behind this event? So Beth Sigurdsson, John Foreman, Kim Opheim, Quentin, who we call Q. It's so much easier to say Q. Bill Redford, Brian Bedford, Lisa Kerr, Debbie Olson. And where's Colin? Colin's our videographer who's been running, they're over there, running all over the place today. So can we thank them? I want to thank Nick for responding to our every whim and every need, and so quickly. So thank you. So watch your inbox. We do every year ask how we did. Tell us the truth. All begins with telling the truth. Who said that? Who is, I don't know. I know it was Rick Bowman from the Vertical Growth Network. He always said, it all begins with telling yourself the truth. And I think it was you, Steve, who said that up here this afternoon, right? Or maybe it was Larry. I'm not sure which one of you, but yeah. And again, can we thank our sponsors? We cannot do this without them.